The important part about the conversation isn't LuciHub. It's about the evolution of video production and the space in general. AI is going to be a fundamental shift in business and with creatives. And there are some roles that are going to probably be eliminated. And so I think if they want to listen to this, it's about how we're making a different type of business and what they can think of as in their own role about how do they pivot? How do they make sure that they're relevant moving into this new era?
Hey, small business owners, welcome to Unleashing Video Marketing for Businesses, where we dive deep into the world of video marketing as top experts reveal their secrets and strategies to power up your growth. Ready to elevate your business? Then get set, camera speed, and action. Welcome to another episode of UVMB, my friends. And in case you're new to this podcast, Unleashing Video Marketing for Businesses is a space where we bring you amazing, valuable experts that will teach you new pathways and tools on the world of video marketing. I'm your host, Frank Battiston, and the Director of Production at PowerTale Productions. And today I have Amer Tadayon, and he is the CEO and founder of LuciHub, a video production platform that combines human expertise and AI tools so that you can streamline your video production process. Here you go. Amer, good morning. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast. How are you today?
I'm great, Frank. Thanks for having me this morning. Appreciate it.
Of course. Amer, we were so ecstatic, when we found you because you're going to talk today about the world of combining AI with just that human factor. And I wanted to ask you, how did your background in music, tech, and film affect basically what you do today?
Well, that's actually it's a good question. And this company that I'm building now, LuciHub, is connecting the dots of an entire lifetime and career. So I started my career. Well, I was growing up. I thought I was going to be a musician, and then Top Gun came out, and I thought I was going to be a fighter pilot, and it didn't happen. But I got into computer science because of it, and I started taking engineering courses. So I started in engineering. Wasn't very good at that. Went into human factors, was a little better at that, but I actually put myself through college doing software sales. And so I started in tech, and then at some point, 10 years later, I decided I was going to be a filmmaker, started a video production company, and then went back into tech and mobile app development and global consulting. And LuciHub, which is the company I have now, is connecting the dots between all of those three careers. And the music really didn't play a role. It kind of sat there for a while. I started playing music again professionally when I moved back to Vegas. And in fact, when I started, the first iteration of LuciHub was really, how do we accelerate quick turn videos? And we were actually testing it on musicians. We would bring them into a studio, have them shoot a sizzle, and in an hour they would have their sizzle reel and they would leave. So, and this whole business started because an agency executive said to me, we spend all this money on video production, and by the time we get these videos back, they're irrelevant. And so what I did was I looked at the way video production is taking place and has been for years, and the demand for video content, and they didn't match. You just can't deliver the volume of video that social media demands, and business in general demands today with the traditional production model. It's just too expensive. So what's happening is companies are choosing to do less video because they can't afford it. And so we said there's got to be a better way to do this, and we applied technology and human creativity to make it happen. And so now, we have clients that say, we would have never done this project if it wasn't for LuciHub because it would have just been too cost prohibitive in the traditional process. We had one client, their HR department pushed out close to 70 video projects with us last year globally, and they literally came and said this would have not been possible financially if it wasn't for you guys.
That's really, really cool. I was going to tell you, so video is a preferred way to consume content nowadays. And how can businesses meet the demand without losing quality?
So that was the big challenge, right? Typically they say you can have two of three things. You can have quality, but not speed and cost savings, or you can have cost savings, but you're going to give up quality. You can have speed, right? You could have two of those three things. We were able to find a way to do all three of those by leaning into tech and a process and making sure people are a big piece of it still. And so We had one client, they came to us, they said, it was a big conference out here. They said, we need to deliver 17 videos overnight. And the crew that we had hired for this backed out. They said there's no way they could do it. And so they submitted 17 projects at 9 p.m. To our platform. And at 10 a.m. next morning, they got all 17 of them back. And quality
Nice.
didn't suffer. And so what we do is we don't rely 100% on technology. The technology can give us the skill, the speed, and help us get with scale. The people have to deliver the quality. And that's why I'm bullish on, AI plus people being a thing even down the road. Because at the end of the day, what we do is a creative space. And what I always say is creativity is a subjective art form. And so it's always going to need some form of human touch.
And that was my next thing, before we dive into LuciHub, many worry AI will replace people. So how can businesses use AI more as a tool and save time, but not replace the people? Just for those who are fearful.
Yeah, and by the way, I think historically you've seen these pretty major transformations in our world make things better and worse in some cases, or just good and bad. There's good and bad to all of it. But let's take the computer revolution. Everybody said the computer revolution was going to put people out of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
What it really did was it refocused the jobs. You have, the IT consulting industry didn't exist before the computer revolution. And today, I think just in the US, it's like 3 million people it employs. And I might have those numbers wrong, but it's in the millions, right? Those jobs never existed. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see some jobs are going to go away because they're jobs that you're not going to need people for necessarily. But I think other jobs are going to pop up. And so if we just look at AI globally, the demand for AI means there's a huge demand for GPUs, which means we need more people and more resources to build those GPUs. Those GPUs need to sit somewhere, which means a data center growth is going to be a pretty big thing. In fact, I think Meta just announced a $10 billion data center project that'll hire 5,000 construction workers and another 500 employees. So you're seeing the roles shift. And then if we look at it from a corporate standpoint, the largest companies in the world right now have openings for AI ethics and governance people. That role never existed 2 years ago. And now you've got an entire team of people who are responsible for ethical AI in the enterprise. That means you need attorneys. That means you need data scientists. That means you need cybersecurity people. So I think collectively you're going to see a shift in roles. And that's one of the things I think people don't talk about as much. People sell the fear factor. Now, let's bring it back down to our core business, which is really creativity, and your podcast, which is about marketing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
One of the things I tell the designers we work with is, look, you have these really great skill sets, but at its core, whether you're an editor or a visual designer, why you're really in this business is you have this level of creativity about you. And so that can't be replaced necessarily. But the tools that you're using can help you do more. And so with our editors, I would put our editors up against anybody. And we won't chintz on quality, but we'll use these tools to make the things that we had to do manually a lot faster, like assembly, right?
Yeah.
And so what's cool about that is now we can deliver a lot more projects. We don't compromise quality, but editors get into the business of being editors because they like telling a story. They like assembling a story. And so our editors still get to be storytellers. They just get to tell more stories. Instead of, when we got into this business, one edit took us a half a day, sometimes a whole day. We can do a professional edit in under 90 minutes now, and in some cases in under 60 minutes. It doesn't discount the value of the editor. He or she still has to tell that story. Same thing with the designers. You still have to go ahead and create this brand. You still have to be able to understand your audience, right? When we do projects, when we do design projects, we always look at a persona. You still have to understand who that is and how it works. The tools can just help you do more faster. So that's how we've applied it. And I think what's unique about our business is before LuciHub, as a small business or even a large business and a department in a business, you had two options. You could go and hire a professional production team, which is incredibly expensive for a lot of our clients, it's cost prohibitive. It's not even an option, but you'll get a really great product back in most cases. And it'll take a long time. And that's, I think, because most production houses aren't tech houses, so they haven't figured out how to increase efficiencies. I would argue we're probably one of the only or one of the few managed service companies with an incredibly large software development team who's constantly iterating on the platform we're using, right? So, that's the thing for us is it's got to be tech plus people, and that's how we save that quality on it. And internally, we actually saw some things happen with us. So we were a Microsoft Founders Hub member. When OpenAI came out, we started using it internally. We were creating scripts, we were creating marketing materials, we were doing a lot. And as a small company, we're a startup, right? We're a 2.5-year-old startup. We cranked out about 100 video projects internally last year, over 100 for us, not even our clients. Everything from explainers to training videos to marketing pieces. And we said, well, if we could do this internally, why couldn't we do this externally for our clients? So we actually have a product called the Creative Copilot, which takes your idea, turns it into a script, a voiceover, and a shot list very quickly, and then lets you push it into our production cloud and go film on your phones and do your things. But we found those efficiencies, and because of those efficiencies, we were able to take a marketing person that was really talented in multiple fields and actually reposition her as our AI product manager. And so we didn't eliminate the role. We actually just shifted the skill set because the skill set she had applied even more in what we were doing with AI. And so we did a few changes like that internally where AI actually helped us in certain departments, which meant we could actually repurpose and reposition in other departments and help those departments be more successful.
Cool, Amer. And okay, so just so that we understand well the process, it sounds fascinating. Every single, like just the tools you're mentioning and the fact that you were able to streamline that production process. If somebody uses, LuciHub services and they use basically both that human and AI factor, could you explain a little bit the process? How would they come in, use LuciHub? Just an example of somebody coming in, from beginning to end so that they can kind of understand how it would be, and using these tools along their project?
Sure. So LuciHub is what we call a next generation video production platform.
Mm-hmm.
And it really has three main components to it. And I'll start backwards. We have a professional edit team that's part of the platform. We have a video production cloud. And we lean into phones. 90% of our clients are using phones. And so let's say you're in Southern California and I'm in Vegas, and you might have somebody in some other part of the world, and we're working on a project about a certain topic, and we all need to be able to capture some footage and tell our part. Well, all you got to do is film the content on your smartphones. You could use DSLRs if you want. Very few of our clients do these days.
Yeah.
The quality format on these phones is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You use that cloud to upload the content. So you've got this really cool way to capture the video content right away. Frank, let's say you're the project manager. You can view all those videos, decide what you want to use, what you don't want to use. You can actually create selects so that the team knows the ones you like. You put in all your notes. You could add music if you want, and you can send it to production, and the editors will turn it around, depending on your subscription with us, anywhere from 72 hours to 2 hours. So we do the heavy lifting. What we've learned is people like being storytellers. They like being creatives, but they don't have the time to do really quality editing. And in my personal opinion, I feel like if you even throw it into some of these AI tools that are all DIY, it's still going to fall short, which is why we have customers. So that's the second component. And then the third component is what we call the Creative Copilot. It's a series of promptless AI tools that'll help you tell your story from idea to, from concept to storyboard, or to shot list. And so let's say you wanted to do a story about the role of AI in marketing services.
Mm-hmm.
You could go ahead and give a summary of exactly what you want to highlight. We have a version of OpenAI, which is Azure OpenAI. It's Microsoft's version. So you would put your paragraph in there, and let's say I want a 60-second script. It would turn that into a 60-second script. Mm-hmm. You can then clean that script up and say, give me a voiceover, and you can pick from dozens of voiceovers, accents, and later next month from languages. and I'll give you the voiceover. So now within minutes, you've got your story, you've polished it, you've created your voiceover for it, and then you can say, okay, turn my story into a shot list for me. And that becomes the visual blueprint on how you're going to tell the story. And so you can look at this shot list. You can decide if for some shots you might want to use stock footage. For some shots, you may want to pick up your phone and go shoot practical.
Mm-hmm.
And you get all that content into the cloud. You've scheduled an edit date with us, and the edit date comes in, the project goes into production. The post team sends it back to you. We have an entire revisions tool in the platform. So let's say you and your producer need to collaborate on it. You just send the link to the collaborator. You two both watch the video. You put your notes in there. We log time code for all your notes, and you say send a revision, and it goes back and comes back in 24 hours. So it's a really optimized process. And the reason we can do what we do is because we've leaned heavily on technology so that our customers from beginning to end get to be on this platform and nowhere else. Today, if you don't have us, you've got to probably get a Dropbox or some sort of upload mechanism.
True.
You're going to have to find your post team. So you'll probably go and find somebody on Upwork, or you'll hire a production company. And then you're going to have to go back and forth on revisions. And that usually happens in an email, or people text it back and forth. Everything is in one place. Everything is incredibly efficient. And the platform has a role for the customer, a role for the project team, and a role for the post-production team. So everything is living in this next gen platform, which is how we're able to go back and forth and do everything efficiently.
Great. And I think my next question was how you balance quality, budget, and just speed, but I think you've answered these so well. In terms of budget or packages, you were talking about packages just before, or the levels, that depending on the speed that they pay their customers. How does that work?
So I'll touch one thing on quality control.
Yeah.
We actually have a quality control process.
Okay.
So when a video actually is completed by a post team, we have an entire checklist process where if all of that hasn't been hit, that video can't even get released to the QC team. And so once that gets released, QC team, the quality control team, looks at it. If they're good with it, then they submit it to the client for review. So it touches multiple people before it even gets to the customer. And as far as pricing goes, we have bundles. We have subscription bundles, which include multiple licenses of the Creative Copilot, licenses for the production platform, and a certain number of projects that we can deliver for you. But if you break it down, it's hundreds of dollars per project, not thousands. So you could literally deliver. Think about what it would cost to deliver 20 projects overnight with a production team, right? It would be incredibly expensive. For us, that would have been thousands of dollars, right?
It comes to my mind, do you think the service LuciHub would be great for people that need more fast-paced content that they can shoot themselves in an iPhone? Or do you think something that it is more specific and tailored and, demands a little bit of just a videographer's skills? Could it be even a combination?
Yeah. So I think the way you think about LuciHub is it is the next generation of video production, whether it's going to require a videography team or production team or a single individual. We can actually accommodate all of that. We have a client, we cut down their movie trailers for them.
Nice.
So
okay.
We actually have a white label service for production companies that could white label us and resell us to their customers. So it's not really for one audience. And one of the hardest things for us as a business is we could be something to everybody. And so how do you focus as a business so that you can control where your marketing dollars are going, where your team's selling, and all of that? That was one of the biggest challenges. We started with consumers and weddings. And when we quickly realized that businesses have a bigger demand for us than anybody, because you've got this huge consumption model now with video, and the traditional model just doesn't support it. And so companies are just choosing to go without. And if you look at all of the projects we delivered this year, I'd say about 80% of them are projects that would probably have never happened inside those organizations because the traditional cost model wouldn't have allowed them with their budgets to be able to do it. And we had one customer did 70 projects globally, right? Imagine doing 70 employee stories globally as a business and what the expense behind that would have been. what the amount of just project management around that would have been with a traditional model. But they used tools like Riverside and their phones. They captured the content, and they pushed out 70 of these in a year. And that's not easy to do, and it's almost nearly impossible to do with a traditional production model.
I like that it can be pretty much a hybrid. I like that, you can adapt any kind of content, into, the platform. I mean, it's more about efficiency and speed. So,
Well, quality, you can't compromise quality. That's
yeah.
the big piece. You can go to a ton of DIY tools that'll give you efficiency and speed. And I'll give you a really good example. You have a podcast. I don't know how you do your podcast cut downs, but a lot of people are using these AI tools for cut downs. The problem is, yeah, they'll give you a cut down, but they're not going to give you the best cut down. They're not going to give you the best nuggets of the story. So we're going to roll out a tool next quarter that lets you put your podcast in there. And instead of cutting it down for you, we'll give you the transcript and say, just cut the sentences you want together. Paper cut, right? Tell us
Yeah.
what you want and then run it. And so you'll be able to do your own cut downs within a matter of minutes. And they're going to be better cut downs because they're going to tell the story you want to tell,
Yeah.
not the story AI thinks you want to tell. And every time I see, oh, we're using AI for our cut downs. Well, are you really getting a good story, or are you just getting a cut down that you can put out?
Interesting. We do use AI to cut down certain snippets for social media. But yeah, when we actually cut down these podcasts, what we do is that we have also another editor in charge of just editing it down. So I would say it's also like a hybrid, but not to the level that you guys offer, which is what's impressing me. And I think the audience also here, it might be like, wow, I like that. It can streamline my video production process, specifically when there's a lot of content, and nowadays there's a high, if you want a video for your website that it's longer, it's more intrinsic. It tells about the culture of the company, but then you have other social media reels, then there's a lot of cut downs. And I think that what you're explaining, what you're offering, it makes it great.
Yeah, and that's actually the goal. And it's, for us, it didn't start with podcasts. It started with, we have a lot of our customers. We have HR departments and internal comms departments. They're teams of one or few. They don't get the budgets of the marketing team. They don't get the budgets of the office of the CEO. And so they've got to make do with what little budget they have and what little team they have. And one of the things we saw is a lot of them do employee stories internally. And then, a lot of the product teams and sales teams do customer stories externally. And it's really hard to say to an editor, hey, tell me the best part of the story, because we don't know your brand. We don't know your core, the core mission and all that. So we said there's got to be a better way to do this. And so we had a product we had built internally for our edit team. We said, let's externalize this and let the customer tell us which pieces they want. So what they'll be able to do is they'll be able to push the interview into the platform, they get to select the best parts of the interview. It stitches it together and sends it to our team. And then we add all the stuff to make it look beautiful. So that's what's coming down the pike with us. And that way they tell the story they want to tell. They don't rely on an editor. And that eliminates, a bunch of back and forth.
That's great. So if a business is starting out, because they might think they're great tools, what you're explaining to me, I can see my whole future company working and streamlining my process, But if they're just starting out, and of course they're shooting their own videos on their iPhone, just so that they feel less afraid, how could they approach LuciHub in the beginning? What package could they start on, and just to start breaking that ice?
Yeah, so we have bundles for as little as $500 a month, where they'll get a bundle of videos, they'll get the AI tool. One of the groups that's really been attracted to us is nonprofits. They don't have a ton of money, and video is a great way to amplify the message of the nonprofit. It's a great way to reach out to donors, and so we've seen a lot of traction in the last year with nonprofits. And what's really cool to see is how they're leaning into these AI tools. We have one nonprofit created one of the best videos I saw last year. It was a recruiting video for hiring people for the nonprofit.
Okay.
And they went and they created the script, they created the voiceover, they went and filmed, the content, put it in there. It was an amazing video. I mean, you would have thought it was a professionally done video, but what happened was the marketing person, we have a whole library on LuciHub.com called the LuciHub Academy.
Okay.
Bunch of micro videos on how to become a filmer on a phone, how to film on a phone, how to light, how to mic, how to deal with lighting, everything. She went and studied those videos, and she created an amazing video using the tool set. And it was really cool to see how a nonprofit was able to amplify their voice, you know, by doing it almost all themselves. They did 80% of the work themselves. And then what we say is we take you to the finish line. Post team picked it up, made it look beautiful, and send it back to them. But you're only as good as the content you put in. So you do have to put some effort into making the videos and shooting the videos.
Okay. And if you had to give them 3 tips, just 3 tips on how to, I mean, aside of LuciHub,
Yep.
to use AI effectively, you know, and to not, so that they just don't feel afraid, you know, feel it as a, you just see it as a tool. Generically speaking, what would be 3 tips you would give them to basically use AI and incorporate them in their?
So I think, and I'm going to give you the 3 tips that we leaned into
Okay.
when we started this company. AI is in our DNA, and that was by design. And so the first one is, if you look at any business, how are they typically promoting their business? It's usually some form of stagnant marketing materials. It's a PowerPoint, or it's a one sheet. In some cases, it's a whole brochure that's 20 pages that nobody really bothers to read.
Yeah.
Right? Take all those and use AI to turn them into videos. So we're testing an upload mechanism right now. They'll take your PowerPoint, turn it into a script for you. And then from there, you can actually take the PowerPoint, turn it into a script, a voiceover, a shot list. We can grab the stock footage, and you can turn it into this really beautiful video that tells the message way better than a boring PowerPoint. We just had a startup that somebody came to us and said, hey, look at this brochure. It was an 8-page brochure, Frank. I looked at it. I said, David, I'm not going to read this. He goes, no, can we make this more exciting? Because we think they have a really great product, but no one's going to read this. We actually used LuciHub to turn it into a 120-second explainer video. Mind-blowing, right? Yeah. So the first thing I'll tell you is take all that static or stale content and turn it into video using AI tools, because you can do that today. You couldn't do that 2 years ago. You'd have to hire a team, and it would be incredibly cost prohibitive. You can do that for hundreds of dollars today, right?
Yes.
So the second thing is lean into video and start cranking out content. We have clients, we have departments doing 70, 100 videos a year with us now. That was something you couldn't really do.
Awesome.
It was cost prohibitive, right?
Yes.
And then the third thing I would say is lean into AI on the analytics side of your business. Work with it to do market research. Work with it to just identify your target markets. Work with it to identify customers, right? There was a ton of new AI tools coming out that are making data, market research and analytics and just being able to run your company a lot more efficiency available. And I mean, I can keep going and going, but those are the 3 places as a team. That's what we did, right? We took all this static content and made it video. We leaned into video significantly. So even in our company, we deliver over 100 videos internally for our own team. And then we're using analytics tools and really cool AI tools to kind of figure out our market segments, pricing models, things like that.
Amer, thank you so much. That was amazing. Actually, for us, it's a very illuminating, because it actually can even extend. You broaden a whole world of possibilities for us. So that's great. And I think the audience is going to find that they shouldn't be afraid of AI. They should be seeing it as I don't want to say a partner, but it's almost like a tool that becomes a partner, so that you can actually accelerate your process, but you still have the control of what you want to tell and how to tell it.
I think at the end of the day, you're going to be the storyteller, and AI is going to be giving you the tools to tell more stories
faster, with quality, and in a budget.
Yeah. And actually, I think that the people who are really going to benefit from these tools are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
There was such a barrier to start a business. A lot of that barrier has been broken down. And you referenced AI being a partner. If you learn how to really use these tools, you can spit out business plans. You can spit out product requirement documents, legal documents. I shouldn't say that, but send them to an attorney still. But you can do so much more for so much less. That what I'm really excited to see is how much innovation AI is going to bring us. because there are people who couldn't afford to get their idea to market, and now they can.
Yep. Thank you, Amer. Thank you so much for your time, telling us a little bit about the possibilities and your expertise. And I would love to have you in the future again in the podcast and dive into it more. So thank you. And I hope all of you guys get excited, because it's a new era and it's all about just being faster, being on budget, but at the same time, keeping that creativity flowing. And it's not going to replace you. It's just going to make you more powerful. So thank you, Amer.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
All right. Take care. Bye, Frank.
That was Amer Tadayon, everybody. And for those of you who feel a little bit apprehensive on using AI in your video marketing efforts, don't be. AI is a tool. AI is a supplement. You cannot replace the human factor, warmth, and intuition. It's just very hard. It's not there yet. And it is a combination of the two that streamlines your video production process and gives you that edge on making your budgets worth spending, and at the same time, give it that detail necessary to make it work. So please, if you want to know more about Amer and his team in LuciHub, check on the links below on the show notes. And also, please don't forget to subscribe, follow, share, like this podcast. We want to bring you really good experts in future episodes. See you in the next time.